Some people think that without the Ten Commandments, morality in society would be relative and wishy-washy, but in the Bible, morality is relative and wishy-washy. In fact, it sure seems like our modern morality is much more loving and humane than the Bible's morality. Well, Father Tom saw me outside of church after Mass one Sunday, and he said, "Julia, you know, you always look so very sad in Bible study class." And I said, "I'm sorry, Father, it's just that God is so offensive in the Bible. Really, it's like he's bipolar." I said, "Well, you know, the Old Testament. Just remember that the people who wrote it were an ancient Bronze Age civilization. I mean, the stories are legends. They're tales of trickery and deception that were told around the campfire by sheiks who made God impressive by their very ancient standards." I said, "Oh, wow. Looking at the Old Testament that way, it actually makes a lot of sense now, Father. Looking at the Old Testament that way, it's quite interesting." But Homer was also an ancient Bronze Age writer writing about gods. I mean, how much are we supposed to believe is actually true? And he said, "Well, there's no evidence that Abraham is anything other than legend, or Isaac, or Moses, or even the whole Exodus story." I said, "The Exodus story is a myth?" And he said, "Well, myth-ish." And I said, "How can something be myth-ish?" And he said, "Well, the Exodus story is a myth in the sense that it never actually happened." But it's not a myth in the fact that the people believe the story was true and shape their identity as a culture based on thinking that. But Julia, you can't read the Bible with modern historical eyes. You've got to read it with the eyes of